Now, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial resumes in the High Court in Pretoria with a new witness this morning. Just yesterday, ballistic expert Chris Mangena gave damning testimony linking one of the accused to the murder. Mangena told the court the firearm seized from Mthobisi Mncube back in 2015 was the one that killed Senzo Meyiwa. Our reporter, eNCA's Manqoba Mchunu, is at the High Court and he joins us now to give us some context. Manqoba, a very warm good morning to you. Colleague, perhaps take us back. Some damning revelations by ballistic expert Chris Mangena.
Certainly, Tumelo, and I think one of the crucial aspects of that evidence from Chris Mangena was around the firearm that was recovered from accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube. Recall that this is the firearm that had been confiscated from him back in 2015 when he was arrested for a taxi-related incident that had happened in Alexandra. He was ultimately sentenced to 35 years for that particular crime. But interestingly, the firearm that was confiscated from him being linked to the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. And how so? We understand that investigators had gone and then requested that firearm after Mthobisi Mncube had been identified as one of the people of interest in this particular case. And we understand that Chris Mangena had then analyzed that firearm, also comparing it with the previous tests that had been done on that firearm by Colonel Rulofsir, who also works within the ballistic unit for that other case that was involved in. And this is when they made the discovery that, in fact, this was the very firearm that had fired the shot that killed Senzo Meyiwa in 2014. And of course, you recall, Tumelo, that we also heard evidence that seemingly links accused number 3 to this particular crime, the fact that he had dreadlocks, and also that this was somebody who was involved in criminal activities in those photos that we saw being presented in court by Lamberta Steyn. But also, crucially, we've got to understand exactly where Senzo Meyiwa was at the time that he was shot. We understand now that the door had been half open, and this is according to Mangena, who says that's the reason why that bullet had then ricocheted, but also that the attacker was in front of Senzo Meyiwa. He shot Senzo Meyiwa at close range. The gun was pressed against his chest and he shot at a downward projectile. But to unpack further about what we can expect in court, of course, this is after the defense also, just to mention, had also requested a postponement of Chris Mangena's evidence in court to allow them their own time to consult their own expert. And the court agreed yesterday that it is in the interest of justice for them to be able to do so. But joining me now is the law expert, Alton Hart, just to discuss further about this evidence and how damning it is. Alton, thank you for your time. Let's start here about that crucial evidence and the link that the state has made as far as accused number 3 is concerned. Does the state has a strong case here as far as this evidence is concerned?
Manqoba, if we look at it, what the state is now trying to portray to the court is that the bullet head that was found on the cupboard came from the gun that was found in possession of accused number 3. What I'm still struggling with is to show, is there out and out evidence that says that bullet head was the one that penetrated and exited Senzo Meyiwa's body. That is the difficulty. Yes, that bullet came from that gun, but is there evidence before court that says the bullet is the one that entered and exit? So that, and the state is trying to link to say, okay, the trajectory. There was other evidence that the door was closed, the people from the backyard that could see only from the window. Now they say that the door should have been opened and the ricochet bullet that happened. So that is all contradictory because you have witnesses saying this, witness, and that casts doubt. Now, the only thing that the defense needs to do is to bring another ballistics expert to say, yes, come and tell us, is this the only inference that can be drawn from whatever evidence that was gathered from the crime scene? And if the other ballistic expert come and say, listen here, yes, the bullet comes from this gun. Yes, this gun was found in possession of accused number 3. But how the trajectory looks, where the bullet was found, it's not the only conclusion that this gun fired that bullet in this house. yes, that gun might have fired the bullet somewhere else, and it would speak to the narrative that the state, that the defense is also saying there was tampering with the crime scene and the bullet was planted. So there's still a lot of question that needs to be answered. The state is not out of the woods yet. It might seem that it's damning evidence, but if the defense come and call Chris to declare to come and testify, and he gives something contrary to what Mangena has given, then you have two mutually destructive versions there.
Let's talk about that expert to understand that he's currently in Uganda. And of course, one of the reasons why the defense has requested this postponement is because they want to consult with Chris de Klerk. Let's just talk about what he has to do in terms of, this case, to try and discredit some of the evidence that has been given here in court that seemingly suggests a link to these suspects to this particular murder.
If one looks at, and they explained how a bullet goes through the jacket of a firearm and it leaves certain marks, and they were explaining hard and soft bullets. Now, if Chris de Klerk comes and also say that the identification marks that Mangena has spotted on the bullet head that was allegedly found, or what that was found on the cupboard behind the vases, and the test bullets that he fired, the correlation, because he said there must be 6 sort of half identifier marks that will say that the bullets, both of them come, the test one and the one that was found on the cupboard, comes from the same sleeve from the specific gun. If the Klerk comes and he says, but there's other tests that proves, or there's other things, and the marks is not sufficient to actually say what, for Mangena to come to the conclusion to say that this bullet was fired from this gun, then it also contradicts the evidence. So that is like how you work with fingerprints. You need to have like 7 spots that sort of half gives you to say that Manqoba was on the scene. So the bullets also have that sort of fingerprints when it comes out of the sleeve of a firearm. So when it's through the jacket, it goes out. It also makes that marks, and it's not always 100% matches. So there's certain things that they have to look at. And if the Klerk comes and says, listen, yeah, this is not the only conclusion. It looks, there is a certain percentage chance that it can, but there's also a chance that it could have been fired from another gun, not specifically this one. It contradicts, then it says to the court that, yes, there's chances, but it's not out and out and damning to say this bullet, there's no other conclusion that can be drawn that it was fired from this gun that was found in the Khumalo's house.
And again, Elton, I'll go back to this issue of the scene contamination. Of course, that is going to play a big part when it comes to cross-examination. How likely is that going to affect what, the state has put on the table so far?
No, the scene contamination, and that was the things that bothered me from the beginning. Scene contamination, because there's evidence that says from the Ngobenis, there's statements that says they found Mapiri busy cleaning the crime scene. Busy cleaning the crime scene. Then the police officer Matebula and Mtetwa came. They saw that this is a crime scene. They left it unattended for plus minus hour and a half to 2 hours. Went to the hospital to go and look for a complainant as per their version. Again, they left it in the hands of a civilian, I would say, because that Khumalo guy was not on duty. It's not his jurisdiction to say left it in the hands of a civilian. Again, so tampering could have happened, and already what the Ngobenis is saying, for me, I see that there was cleaning and tampering with the crime scene, and it might now speak to the narrative that the defense is putting on the table to say the crime scene directly after Senzo Meyiwa was fatally wounded, and the crime scene that was captured by Mosia and the other crime scene photographers was not the same crime scene, and that is where the defense needs to hone in, and actually destroy the state's case.
And just finally, Elton, does this disprove the theory from the defense that it might have been somebody inside the house that fired this bullet? Of course, Mangena has not ruled out that there was a scuffle that took place with the fact that there were 2 shots fired in the house.
No, indeed. And I said from the beginning, we should have had at least 12 people in the dock at this point in time to stand trial for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And they will fall out as it goes along. Because some of the witnesses said they heard 3 shots. And specifically, the Tumelo Madlalas, the Zandile Khumalos, who were so adamant in their evidence. 3 shots. Where's the 3 shots? Because as Mangena said, they could only pick up, or he said there was only 2 shots fired. And also I need to think that the defense needs to probe Mangena more to say, how do you know that only 2 shots was fired? He must come and tell the court specifically on what grounds is he basing that, because he says 1 bullet ricocheted off the door. Where did the other one ricochet to? From the floor? Because I heard he was looking for scratch marks on accused number 3's legs and those type of things. So, but I think the defense need to keep Mangena in that box and thoroughly cross-examine him, and they would need the expertise of Chris de Klerk to come and prove that what Mangena has put on the table is a possible version, but it's not the only version.
Well, certainly a lot of questions remaining as far as this evidence is concerned. Thank you very much, Elton Hart, for your time this morning. Well, we're expecting a new witness to take the stand this morning, and from all indications, it's likely to be another police officer that is expected to be, quizzed here in court as far as what happened on the 26th of October in 2014 is concerned. So that